Part of my job is making sure people get into the right chairs. It's nice to see you all. Thanks for your patience because we were running about 20 minutes behind schedule. And it's great to have all four of you because you come from different perspectives in this rise of energy. And we're looking at the soaring demand worldwide, but how the private sector can mobilize capital, technology, and talent fast enough to meet those needs. I'd like to start with you, if I may, Mohamed. And we heard Dr. Sultan talking about the advancement of Masdar. Happy anniversary, by the way.
Thank you.
I can't believe it's been 2 decades, to be honest with you.
Yes.
You know, the founder of CNN, when he launched it in the 1980s, and I was an intern 2 years after he launched, he says, I was in cable before cable was cool, as in cable television before cable was cool. And I have to say, Masdar was in renewable energy before people thought there was a future. So you're 2/3 of your way along your target growth here. What would you say to 100 gigawatts? What do you say is the right mix and the sort of growth we'll see after you get to 100 megawatts?
Well, John, it's really great to be here among my dear friends and partners and peers at Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week. You know, two decades, 20 years of, a lot of work, dedication, great effort from the team, pushing forward in a technology that was really nascent 20 years ago. We started at Masdar City with a 10 megawatt. Now you've heard it from Dr. Sultan at the opening remarks. We have reached 65 gigawatts. And yes, absolutely, we still have a few gigawatts to go until 2030, and I'm confident that we will achieve that. But it wasn't really easy over the past 2 decades. When we started, renewable energy was not a mainstream technology. We were lucky to be established by a leadership that is visionary, a leadership that believed that diversification is critical and very important. In a country that is fossil-based country, our base load, our power generation, our water supply is generated through fossil fuel and through natural gas. But a leadership that believed that this is not sustainable. So diversification of the energy mix is critical. And they had that vision to invest in renewable energy 20 years ago when it was not so attractive, when it was extremely expensive. So what has happened over the past 20 years? Yes, today renewable energy is mainstream. Today renewable energy, the green electrons, or what we call green electron, is, I would say, the most competitive electron in the market today. The future will be a hybrid solution that combine different types of renewable energy with storage capability to achieve what is important in the stability of the grid and to achieve what was something that what we call impossible to achieve, which is a base load profile for a green electron. And this is something that we have worked with along our partners. Last year, we've launched the round-the-clock project in Abu Dhabi, a revolutionary project that really changed the dynamics of green electrons. In fact, it changed the dynamics of the energy power generation. Those who did not believe that green electron can be base load, now they actually believe it. And they have to reevaluate their energy mix moving forward. So we are really delighted to be here, and I am really delighted to be among esteemed guests, people I have a lot of respect for, people that I really appreciate. In fact, I would say, John, you have the best panel in the whole world, not in Abu Dhabi. Okay?
As somebody told me, one of my colleagues that's moderating here, she says, that's a super panel. That is a super panel. I had a chance, Mohamed, to speak to all three of them and to get their kind of nuggets of good leadership so we don't duplicate each other. For Catherine McGregor, what stood out, she said, is regulation. So you could even use the UAE model there. Patience, which is also interesting, because if you got into renewables at an early stage, as Mr. Ramahi was saying, you had felt like I made the wrong decision because it was so expensive. And what other ingredients are you looking for? Because you are in 30 countries around the world, and you have choice, Catherine. That's the point.
Yes, and happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Not anniversary.
And I have to say, one of the difficulties you will have, John, is to make sure that we don't all say the same things, because you will see, typically among ourselves, there is a strong convergence of views. So we'll try and stay complementary to each other. So maybe to talk a little bit of what we are looking at when we look at investing. It's really important today, particularly because the world is changing. There are change of policy, change of will, and it's really important as an investor like Engie to have optionality on where we deploy our capital. The number one thing that we are looking for today is stability. And we've been talking about stability and predictability forever, so it doesn't sound very new, but today it comes more scarce than ever. So it is true that when we discuss with Mohamed and the different stakeholders here, Dr. Sultan, we like to remind that the fact that some countries stay the course, have defined goals, work on their regulation and their regulatory framework to make sure that it is fairly clear and that it doesn't change over time, it makes a massive difference for our investment decision. And it sounds very cliche and straightforward, but a lot of the political counterpart that we meet, they don't fully understand that, because everything we do in the energy transition, it's long-term investment, it's capex based, and so we need to know the rule of the game, and that's very, very important. So energy policy, stability, staying the course, and then of course, regulator that understand that investors need to make money. Not too much. We don't need to make a lot of money as utility profiles. We're not too greedy. We don't want to make too much money. We need to make money that can be predicted, that we know it's going to be there, and that is fairly low risk profile. And so regulators that accept that, and then I'll go one step further, because you talked about AI early on. It's very clear that the investment we need to make to support the energy transition, the electrification, particularly on the network side, we need to make sure that we don't overspend. So for that, you need to make sure that utilities can do their job, which means apply smartness, operational excellence to assets that are under this regulation. And here, you need regulators that make sure that they have incentive for high-performing operators, incentive for innovation, incentive to manage the network smartly, so that globally, we make sure we keep the cost of the system in check. Because one of the big risks for us, for sure, is the backlash. If the energy transition, if the cost of the system is too expensive, too high, then there's going to be a problem. So helping the investor to be able to do what they do best, which is to be a good operator, bringing solutions to keep the system low is very, very important. But
Good.
Number one, stability, predictability.
Thank you very much. Ignacio, it's nice to see you. We had a quick chat before we came out, and those nuggets that you shared. And one is, if you look back to COVID-19, and we had the supply chains broken, right? And then energy prices collapsed. And then you have a conflict which disrupted natural gas supplies into Europe. You think it's really interesting that energy security and the equal measure to national security, and then if you're going to pile in this demand from AI, you could have incredibly difficult bottlenecks if you don't plan. What are you thinking on that front?
Well, I think this year we celebrate our 125th anniversary since the company was founded. I think in these 25 years, the last 25, the company has been run for myself. So I think these problems of supply, this problem of energy crisis, I already suffered several. As you can imagine, during 125 years, many of those things has already happened. So, but I think something what we can say in this moment is that electrification is unstoppable. I think I'm an electromechanical engineer. I think in my life, I already work most of my time in electricity devices, not in mechanical devices. Even I have both specialities. So because most of the equipment already invented in the last 30, 40, 50 years has already something to see with electricity. So to see, we are seeing the electricity demand is booming and is going to continue increasing. Why? Because from data centers to electric vehicles to cooling, heating, etc., we've been for centuries of millenniums heating ourselves, burning something. Today we can heat, we can cool ourselves without burning anything. So which I think that thanks the engineers sometimes we do something practical. So I think thanks of the engineers. So, but I think for that is all technologies are needed. It's not one technology, another technology. I think certain renewable has their role to play. Certain, there are already certain drivers, as you mentioned. The energy security has to be a must, because energy security is equal national security in many countries. But this national security means everybody has to use their own natural resources as much as they can. So I think those countries who have a lot of sun, it's no sense to put already wind turbines. Or those countries has not gas, it's not is stupid or already to move already looking for those ones. But the country have gas, or those countries have wind, or those countries have coal, sun, they have to use those things. But I think something which is very crucial on this one is not only the way how we produce electricity. It's something that has been forgotten for many years, which is the need of the grids. Electricity grids is crucial in these times. So for years I've been predicating the need of those ones. Fortunately now, it's already in the mind of most of policymakers, then that is very needed. So, and for that, I absolutely agree with you, Catherine, is that regulation is very, very important. We make our equipment for 60 years. So 60 years is a lot of time. I think the countries has not really providing predictability, security, rule of law. Is very difficult, and we, with our money, will go to those countries. So I think that's why I think that is a very important thing. The second one, and the third one as well, which is needed, is as much in the countries they have already depending of sources which are not predictable, they need already certain backups. Certain natural gas is a very clear backup of that one. So renewables alone, they need either storage, which I think is needed, but as well for long period, I think natural gas is needed as well. So, and I think that, and I finish with this point, has been our history in the last 25 years. Since I joined the company, what we have already making is precisely that one, generating, distributing, supplying electricity and storing electricity. So now we have already become the largest utility in Europe, second worldwide, thanks to this policy, and we continue on that one. We have the plan to invest in, we have 150 billion roughly of market cap, and we are planning to make another 70 billion in the next 3-4 years. And we are two countries which are providing stability, predictability, rule of law. So, and why? Because it's the only way we can really raise the money which is needed for making that happen.
Great, thanks. Really interesting. And just the nugget you shared with me, different markets, different priorities, and different challenges. This is not a one-size-fits-all equation when you're trying to deploy artificial intelligence, heating and cooling to support growth in the developing world. How do you see it?
Well, I think different countries are facing very different challenges. So I agree with what all my panelists said before about stability and the need for growth, or use the resources that you have. For example, the US has very particular problems. The problem is the growth of AI and the big, huge data centers. So that's a very particular problem for the US, that most of the growth is concentrated on the data centers. In the rest of the world, I think it's more electrification. But what I think is AI is both a challenge and it's also a great opportunity for us to improve the way that we work. So I think we're going to have improvements in, for example, material sciences that will allow better batteries, will allow better solar panels, and continue to drop the costs. I also think that when we think of something like AI, it's a buzzword nowadays, but it really is a general purpose technology. It's not specific to one thing. So when I think about it, people tend to think, well, the global south is going to be left behind. But actually, when you think about the marginal improvement in productivity from having access to this generalized intelligence, it's probably going to be greatest in the global south, that improvement. And I'm kind of thinking about telecom and what happened with cellular networks. The greatest revolution, let's say, in business and in communication in relative terms, happened in the global south. How they adopted this technology and how they were able to leapfrog. So what I think that the challenge for us who operate in different types of markets is not one solution fits all, not one energy fits all. I think there's too much sort of ideology mixed in this in terms of criticizing renewables or criticizing fossil fuels. Yeah, we want to lower emissions. We have to find the solution that works best for that particular situation, that's cost effective and as clean as possible. And regarding AI, I really think we have to explore what other opportunities it gives us for dispatching better, for consuming it better. Because the last thing I'll say is that people don't really consume kilowatt hours. They consume a good heating, cooling, compute. And so the better we can deliver that to the people, right, with the same amount of megawatt hours, the better off we're going to be. So I think that we have to use different models even for investing, because it used to be very much that the more we invested, the more returns the companies made. We have a lot of a grid built out there. How can we make better use out of the existing grid, using, for example, dynamic line rating, smart meters, even mobility, take cars. Electric cars are mobile batteries that can be plugged into the grid and charged and discharged efficiently.
Good. And often left out of the debate is efficiency as well, right? So
Yeah.
what you're talking about here is gaining more efficiency. We only have 3.5 minutes left, and I wanted to get your thoughts on unlocking capital, which is very interesting because everybody says, how do I get capital unlocked so I can pursue projects? But if I look at your pipeline recently, 2 major solar bids, one in Saudi Arabia, right? Large scale, Malaysia offshore, which is interesting, and your partner here working in East Anglia, £5.5 billion investments. There doesn't seem to be any challenge deploying and finding capital for the right projects. And Ignacio, you can weigh in as well, but can I get your thoughts, Mohamed, on that?
Well, the formula is simple. First of all, I think to unlock capital, you need the right partner. That's number one. Number two, the opportunity. So the opportunity, if it's under the right regulatory regime, it is a bankable opportunity. It makes sense. Then capital is available. What we have done together with Mr. Galan, and we've launched that 2 years ago at COP28 in Dubai, the Offshore Global Alliance. Now, we've deployed around more than 6 billion. 10 billion. 10 billion. So
Not bad.
Not bad. Same thing.
Together,
Yeah, together.
Half and half.
But as Catherine was talking about, if the regulations right and the opportunities right, there's money.
With Catherine here and Angie, we are now developing and constructing one of the largest solar farms in the United Arab Emirates, here in Abu Dhabi. Again, regulation, partnership, and then you get the capital. The capital will be available. So it's a combination.
Right.
The right partner to start with, I think it's very important, and the right opportunity in the right country.
Great. I won't be as cheeky as to ask for more time because I know you're the driver behind ADSW. I want to ask Andres one more question, and maybe the rest of you can jump in very briefly.
Sure.
How do you supply all the talent for this development? This is a major issue. Andres is on your top of your list.
Well, I was saying, I think AI can help in many places where there is a lack of talent. And the second thing, I do think that it helps in terms of the education. That you can actually teach a lot of people online. So thinking about that angle, I think that AI can really help the Global South close that knowledge gap.
Great. Ignacio and Catherine, very quickly.
So I think talent is global. I think when you're a global company, you have a global talent, and you are able to move the people from one part to another one. We have Brazilians managing the grids, our grids in the United States, British already designing our grid in Australia, Spanish already managing the networks and the power generation in Britain, and British already managing something in Spain. So I think talent exists. The point is how to move. And when you're a global company, this global talent, you have the opportunities of moving this talent to put on the places which are needed anytime.
Great. Catherine?
And I guess working on topics like energy transition enabled with technology, frankly, changing the world for the positive is a huge attractive parameter for the young people, particularly. So, if you're a young engineer and you have this opportunity to join a company that is building the future and solving complicated problems, because, it's about solar, it's about wind, it's about battery, it's about storage, integrating all these smart networks. So it's very interesting jobs that we can offer to these young people. So from that standpoint, not being arrogant or taking anyone for granted, I think we have indeed a fairly good proposition to attract talent, and that's what we are seeing in most of the countries where we operate.
Good. Mr. Ramahi, you were correct. It's a superstar panel, so thanks for the invitation to chair it. The only complaint I have is we probably needed another 20 minutes because it's a lot to unearth, but you have a lot of talent in your program at ADSW on your 20th birthday or anniversary. I'm going to ask for a nice round of applause. I won't re-mention the names because everybody knows who you are, but thanks very much.
Thank
you very much.